There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and the podcast. How are you this morning? I think all my ducks are in a row this morning, sound-wise, vision-wise. Lots downloaded this morning to share with you. Videos from every corner of the country. Thank you, Antonio F., for your fabulous firework display, which I think we'll start with this morning. Who doesn't like a rousing climax first thing in the morning? And that's what we're seeing from Antonio, who was at where was he? Nossa Senhora, the celebrations of Nossa Senhora do Amparo in the city of Mirandela, Bragança district, Trás-os-Montes region. And I said to him, muito obrigado. Always great to see things from the far corners. Now, who here, apart from Antonio F., of course, who was there at the weekend, has been to Mirandela, Trás-os-Montes region? Who's even been to the Trás-os-Montes region of Portugal? Lesser known. I'm keen to go there at some point, but it's not exactly on the beaten track, is it? Yeah, I guess you might go through there to get to Spain. You might not. You might go a different way to Spain. But who's been up there then? Who's been up to Trás-os-Montes? Who's been to Mirandela in the Bragança district of Portugal? Or who intends to go there? We need to get it, don't we? We've got Braga on our Discovery Weekend itinerary for spring of next year in 24. But Bragança not yet. So maybe this firework display will inspire us to do so. Loads of comments. How was your weekend? Loads of comments from you in the chat this morning. So looking forward to going through those. Bobby O'Reilly's in. Morning from somewhere in Germany. sounds like the opening of a spy thriller there. Bobby, how's it going? Nice to see you in the Portugal resident over the weekend. I must get a subscription. What I'm going to do, folks, I think, is ask the editor if I can. Why have I got oh, I see. I understand now. Yeah. Somebody sent me a link to somebody interesting. Always interested in interesting people who are beginning their new life here in Portugal. And that's one of them. So thank you very much to our correspondent this morning who sent me some information about David Summerflack, a retired digital marketing project manager. So I'm keen to speak to him, make his acquaintance as well. Yeah, that's what I'm doing in the Portugal resident column, actually, speaking to people who I think are interesting expats, foreigners, immigrants. Oh, Bruce Joffe, what are you like with your comments on the same over the weekend? Oh, my God. If you're of a delicate disposition, don't go to the Portugal News and Bruce Joffe's column. But anyway, well, it's not his column. It's a contributed piece to the Portugal News. Going back to what I was saying about my column in the Portugal Resident, love speaking to expats, foreigners and immigrants who are making a positive and interesting impact here in Portugal. Want to share with you in that column fantastic Portuguese people who I think you should know about, and some reflections, some of my own reflections on life in Portugal. What was I thinking of this morning as I was doing my ablutions? Oh, yes, I want to write about San Martinho de Porto and why I live here. Oh, that's the obvious one, isn't it? I haven't done that. And if you were here earlier, you'd have seen that the triathlon is coming to San Martinho de Porto. I'm up there on the winner's podium. Look at those chicken legs right there. I'm going to be building some muscle soon. Don't worry. We've got Henry still in the country, Henry and Nina of PB Fitness, who I've been a bit rubbish, basically, haven't I, with my shaping up process. It's not over. It's not dead in the water, as I nearly was on Saturday. That was the coldest I've ever known the bay to be. It was like swimming in an ice bucket on Saturday afternoon. It was really weird because it wasn't a cold day, but it was like sticking. The rest of my body went numb as soon as I dived in. But as I was waving my hands about in the water, it was like literally like putting my hands in an ice bucket. It was quite extraordinary. So there you go, 16th and 17th of September. We've got the triathlon in the Bay of San Martino de Porto, which I think is an amazing place to host such an event. Dino's Gym, Dinos, and Dinos and Lidl, two places that. And Atelier de Dos. Atelier de Dos, you're not helping with your wonderful pastries, but there are at least 3 establishments, or 2 that I already. And Masa de Alcabasa as well. Masa de Alcabasa and Alcabasa. That's my local camera. So there's a few organizations there on the sponsorship lineup that I'm already connected with and will be connected with, I suspect, Dinos Gym quite soon. I was listening to a podcast over the weekend that recommends building body mass, muscle mass as well, important as we age. Coach Turner's done some amazing work for us, I think, in putting together the God Squad tips of the day and the whole program that you can find out or subscribe to and go through yourself at learnaboutportugal.com. I'm going to get back into that. I need to get off my gluteus maximus, so to speak. Maybe pump those up a bit as well. Who doesn't like to? And I've just listened to podcasts, chatting with Henry and Nina, and the time has come to do something a little bit more meaningful. So there's me faking it till I make it anyway on the podium for the winners who will be there. Well, I think probably everybody who takes part in that deserves to have a photograph taken in San Martino de Porto on the 16th and 17th of September. So I'll be writing about SMDP and our lovely days in the Bay here in my column in the Portugal Resident. And yes, that was another conversational thread I started this morning. I'll be talking to the editor or the publisher about getting us a discounted subscription. I don't know how. I've not seen it in San Martino de Porto. I know that T-Duck is a subscriber. Some people have seen it in, more likely the Portugal Resident to see that in newsagents in the Algarve. But I'm going to talk to the editor publisher about getting us a discounted subscription because I know they've been doing that for just news just in from TIG as well. Yeah, I know that the Portugal Resident do offer a discounted subscription to some organizations. I'll see if I can get that for Gumpers as well on the Good Morning Portugal show. News just in from TIG. We were talking late last night and I was hoping TIG would be joining us. Sadly not this morning. So sorry, not well enough to do the show this morning. I wish I were. So we won't be hearing from TIG this morning. I imagine we'll reschedule with TIG. Let me just, while I'm seeing that message, send her the get well soon in Portuguese. Do you ever use this phrase, as melhores, get better? Or to the betterment, I suppose, might be one way of translating that. As melhores to TIG then, and we'll hope to reschedule her post-Brexit Brit update for another day. And I hope you get well soon, TIG. Sorry to hear that. Okay, if anyone wants to step in at 9:30, I'll send you the link, and you can do that if you want to be here at 9:30 and join me and James, or James and I, as we were brought up to say in the British Isles, using her Queen's English, Her Majesty's English, which it was at the time. I know it's His Majesty now. And is that what people say? His Majesty's English. It's just not the same, is it? Anyway, least said about that, the better. If you want to step in at 9:30 and come and have a chat with James and myself, there's another way of saying it, then just drop me a line or say so in the chat. How's it going over there? Let's have a look. Bobby, Antonio. I'm just mad about saffron. Oh, here's a theory about the water and the temperature thereof. Good morning, Portugal. The cold water could be a current from the north. It certainly felt like there was a current at work, a cold current coming into the bay. But if the air is warm and hot, and therefore your skin temperature, the water will feel colder as well. Yeah, that's exactly. It sounds exactly right. That, and welcome to you. I'm just mad about saffron. Do we know each other? And is that you using a different name? That threw me and Mrs. M last night when I was on the Mrs. M's astrology show. And we had a couple of people. I've not met you before. We had met them. They were just using a different name on YouTube. A hilarious name too. Deagle's in as well. Jean, we'll come back to all your comments in full later on. T-Duck, of course. Nuno, thank you very much for your suggestion of featuring the rockin' Reverend. This fella here. This is Pedro. Look at him. He's having a time of his life there, isn't he? He's quite the chap. They're DJing at the papal event, I guess, as a warm-up act, right? Quite a few nice new musical things this morning. Cheers, Nuno. So that is that's not Nuno. Nuno sent me this. That is not Pedro, but Padre, of course, Father Guillaume Peixoto. and he was there DJing at the event, the papal event, of course, in the Tejo Park. And I was thinking, where is the Tejo Park? You'll see from further pictures of Padre Guillem DJing here, exactly where it is, because you'll recognize a certain bridge in just a moment. There he is, and I think the other padres loving it and taking a few pictures. A nice selection of different caps, a pink cap, a little bit of a chef's hat style headwear. There's a bishop coming in from top left with a slightly bigger hat. And is it the bigger the hat, the bigger the person, or the bigger the position in the in the Catholic Church? I wonder. I don't know a lot about it. Quite a lot of police officers in high vis as well. Crash barriers, no doubt, for Padre Guillem's set as well. He's got himself 3 nice Pioneer DJ decks there, and absolutely loving it. And why wouldn't he with a crowd like this? Look at this. And there you go, the Vasco da Gama Bridge in the distance. That's the set he DJ'd from. Isn't that the most amazing infrastructure they set up for the papal visit there? And as night fell, it looked a bit like this as well. What a chance of a lifetime for Padre Guillem Peixoto there to DJ for that crowd before the Pope came to address the assembled throng. Who doesn't like an assembled throng? A swollen throng first thing in the morning. And I think a good time was certainly had by all, was it not? Tejo Park in the last few days. And now gone, finished, over, done, poof. All finished, bar the tidying up, I think, over there. Let's see who else is here then this morning, because I want to play Antonio's firework video and share a few of his pickies and videos from the weekend in Trás-os-Montes. Yes, and Nuno, I'm just mad about Saffron. Good to see you here. And T-Duck, thank you for the deep thought and the King Sabia, and Coach Turner, the aforementioned Coach Turner. First in this morning at 7:31. Bon dia, Gumpers, and welcome to another week. How lovely to be welcomed into another week by Coach Turner. An early start for us today as we're taking 2 of the grandchildren swimming, then wrangling them in the afternoon and keeping them busy. Perfect, Coach T. Let's have a look at some fireworks, shall we? As a rousing start to the week. Thank you, Antonio, for these. Let's play these. We'll have a little sip of tea. And, it's a lovely big... I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you 52 seconds first of fireworks, and we'll finish the show with a further nearly 2 minutes of fireworks. And we'll look at some of the stills from the event that Antonio was at over the weekend. Here we go. Let's start with this. Freestyle. That was good, wasn't it? Some nice syncopated fireworks there, synchronized fireworks, and sure to get me a nice YouTube strike there. I don't think I do get a copyright strike. First, what tends to happen is I get a warning. It depends, I think, how bloodthirsty the owners of that track are, and whether they invite me to give them the earnings, which they're due. I don't have no question, no issue with that. But it does take some of the fun, doesn't it, about out of sharing certain things if there's copyright music attached. I'm not sharing that because I'm trying to exploit the artist, who probably doesn't get very much money anyway, let's face it. But the publisher does, don't they? Thank you, Antonio, then, for that wonderful firework display. More at the end. We'll have a finale of our own fireworks. These videos show part of the fireworks. The show lasted for 25 minutes. Can you imagine planning a 25-minute firework display? That's a lot of money going up in smoke as well, I suppose, isn't it? How was your weekend? Do let us know in the chat. And if you feel like hanging out with me and James at 9:30, sadly, Tig can't be with us. But if you want to be on the screen with us, I'll send you the link. Let me know in the chat. So let's work our way through the Kane Sabia and the Deep Thought and the God Squad tip of the day. Cheers, Coach Turner. Often think of you when I'm out and about, walking the dogs, cycling, and actually mainly thinking about rather than getting on with getting myself in shape. But that's going to change in these next few days and weeks. In the past, we've looked at a range of strength exercises. Very important, isn't it, with aging, to look at your muscle strength and maybe do some resistance work, keep yourself fit. Let us know how you're doing that, please. This week, I'm going to suggest a few more that work different muscles to provide more balance to the training. Fantastic, Coach Turner. Thank you so much. Very timely and very considerate and very thoughtful of you, basically. First up, working the arms and shoulders. Find a vertical pole. That sounds like fun already. Door frame or similar. So you got pole dancing or frame dancing here, or making a grand entrance. Who doesn't like a grand entrance first thing in the morning? Or similar. And other suggestions then for vertical poles, door frames and the like. And stand with your feet either side of it, holding onto the upright. Lower yourself back slowly. Oh my goodness, wear pants for this. And keep your head, body and legs in a straight line. Once you have extended your arms completely, pull yourself up again. Do we need a safety net for this one? Build up to 3 sets of 10. My goodness, that's another excellent exercise for the district nurse or the vicar to walk in on. Oh, excuse me. No, carry on. I'm just doing my God Squad routine this morning, pulling myself up on our vertical pole. You can increase the difficulty by moving your feet further forward and lowering your handhold. Please start slowly and build up. And if it hurts, stop. And don't take any unnecessary or foolish risks with this one, because it sounds like it could go horribly wrong. Maybe wear a bike cycling helmet for this one. But thank you, Coach Turner. Excellent. Are we going to get some video of that? Bon dia alegria gumpers. And that's T-Duck with a deep thought. I saw a Tim Ferriss deep thought and thought of you, T-Duck. Tim Ferriss, a very interesting young fellow. And he's older than when I first encountered him, when he wrote the 4-hour, is it the 4-hour work week? Interesting guy. Like a life hack, efficiency guy. And has done a lot of work into how humans learn and develop. And it was on Twitter, I just lost the will to cut and paste it from Twitter in the end. Anyway, deep thought, you must learn from the mistakes of others. You can't possibly live long enough to make them all yourself. Yes, that's Tim Ferriss territory as well. So deep thought of the day from T-Duck. You must learn from the mistakes of others. And we're a very open crowd when it comes to learning about the mistakes of others. If you made an awesome mistake over the weekend from which you learned and would like others to learn, share it in the chat this morning. Hey, how did Pete get on the weekend with his first cocktail bar? He might be having a lie-in. Has anyone seen Pete yet this morning? You must learn from the mistakes of others then. You can't possibly live long enough to make them all yourself. Sam Levinson, who from 1911, when he was born, to 1980, was an American humorist. Actually, I wonder how long it took him to become that, when he peaked as an American humorist, writer, teacher, television host, and journalist. Hello, this is Sam Levinson as a television host there. The Que Sabia then today. The Lisbon Geographic Society. This will go into the Learn About Portugal information bank, where you can learn something new about Portugal every day, like you can here on the Good Morning Portugal show. And got a good quiz question for you today about my beloved Espanol, that wonderful company that makes wine, olive oil, and they're associated with a beer now that I was drinking yesterday afternoon. Didn't know that until I did some research on them last night. For the time being, let's look at the Lisbon Geographic Society. The Sociedade de Geografia de Lisboa, thanks to T-Duck for this, is a Portuguese scientific society created in the year 1875 to promote geography and related sciences in Portugal. Oh, it's a nice big one this morning to squeeze in. The society's mission is to organize conferences, scientific congresses. What's the difference between a conference and a congress then? And grant funds for exploration trips and scientific investigation. So if you need to pitch some sort of geographical, what would it be called? Trip out. What's a word for that? A jolly, yeah. A scientific geographical jolly. I think you can pitch it to the Portuguese Geographical Society. They also operate a museum and library in Lisbon. Now, I think T-Duck is especially fond of this place. The museum first opened its doors in 1884 and has several extensive rooms. The Portugal room, where most of the museum's collection is located, is 50 meters long, surrounded by 2 orders of galleries. Now, let's have a quick look at the photos of said place. It's very beautiful, isn't it? Check it out. Look at that. Oh, it is lovely, isn't it? It reminds me of my first job was at the Geological Museum slash Natural History Museum, into which it became absorbed. And it had galleries and rooms like this full of the most incredible specimens. And it was really wasted on me at the time, I have to say. I'm sure I'd enjoy working there much more in older age than I did as a youngster. Everything was, well, most things were, in cases, bolted down. Not very exciting. That becomes more exciting to you as you get older, I think, doesn't it? However, the department I worked in, the special effects department, had all the moving things like the earthquake machine and so on. Back from London and Kensington, South Kensington, to which part of Lisbon is this, T-Duck? But it's a beautiful place, isn't it? Look at those. Are those cobras there around the edge of the balcony there? Very nice, and almost like a Masonic compass of a staircase at the end there. And some of the exhibits. I shall leave this one on the screen for you as we read more about and learn more about the Portugal Geographic Society. The Algarve room, it has as well, features a large planisphere and with roots of the discoveries of Portuguese navigators between the 15th and 17th centuries. That's a beautiful map right there, isn't it? And a couple of lovely big orbs. Who doesn't like? And a big old stone, which I think we get, like a headstone, which I think we're about to find out more as well. There is an India room where flags of various expeditions to Africa and 2 large globes by Coronelli are displayed, as well as portolains, manuscripts, and engravings. What are the chances there of getting me the right globes on the screen? There they are now. Look at those. Do you get to spin them? Is that a bad thought for me to have? I just want to spin those bad boys, and that would be wrong, I'm sure. Coronelli. I think James is a sort who might like to spin those bad boys. Yes, he is. He'd give me a couple of thumbs from the green room this morning. Spin them. And the markers room, composed of Portuguese pieces, highlights the stone markers, the padrões, set by the Portuguese on the African coast during the Age of Discoveries. Whoa, is that what they used to do, T-Duck? Did they just take a big rock, like a carved headstone style here, as we're seeing here, and they pop these in to say, like, the Portuguese was here. We now own this. Hello, we're the Portuguese. What's that one over there? Oh, that's a Spanish one. Let's just knock that over and cover it in dirt, and we'll put our own up here. Oh, and the British have been here as well. Let's knock that out. Let's chuck that in the sea and stick the Portuguese one up. This is now owned by Portugal. Genuflect and bend before us. Where's the gold? Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine? That's amazing. Thank you very much, T-Duck. I was going to say the Royal Geographic Society. That will not be the case. That's what it would be called likely in Blighty back in the UK. And maybe at some point in Portuguese history, but not now. The Portuguese Society then, geographical one thereof, Sociedade de Geografia de Lisboa, scientific society created in the year 1875 then to promote geography and related science in Portugal. And lovely pics. I think they're T-Duck's own pictures of that establishment. Lovely job. That, as I say, will be banked in the Learn About Portugal repository, not suppository, of information. Before he joins us, Slug's friend James. Oh, he's changed his name again. He's not just James. He is Slug's friend James again, as far as we know. There's a bit more to that, though, that I've not seen yet. It doesn't fit. His names never fit completely on the screen. There's an idea for you, James. A name next week that fits on the screen. No, he's not having it. Never. Dad jokes later on. I think of all the critics and receivers of dad jokes, James is among the best, really. Gets into the spirit of it. Unlike the likes of stony-faced, did you see him last week? Stony-faced Michael Heron and Mark. Just like they I knew on the inside they were laughing, but they just couldn't show it. So who's this then? I'm just mad about Saffron. Saffron's mad about me. Bom dia a todos. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Feliz segunda. Como foi o vosso fim de semana? I thought it might be one of these. Oh, look, there's someone new. No, it's someone old. Someone familiar and traditional. It is James's name this week. We'll ask him more about that when he gets here. And he's got a dad joke to share. Before which I share it, I will play the appropriate warning. No, it's James time. We've got Nuno tuning in for the Mindful Migration Monday session. And if you weren't here earlier, sadly, Tig won't be able to join us, but there is a gap. It's a big gap to fill. Let's face it, Tig is a very popular guest talking about post-Brexit Portugal for the Brits especially. But I think other people are fascinated to watch that car crash as well, from wherever they are from around the world. And we have Antonio, whose one of his fireworks displays has been shared, and we'll finish the show with that. Oh, I'll just very quickly show some stills from Antonio's weekend. This is up in Mirandela in the Bragança region of Portugal, and the celebration of the Nossa Senhora festivities up there. Very nice too. A good time being had by all in the Trás-os-Montes region. Oh, it's Mirandela then must be on the river there. What's the name of that river, Antonio? And there they are getting ready by the water's edge for a 25-minute firework as the culmination of those festivities. And those will double up nicely. I imagine those get put away now, or maybe even left up in time for Christmas. Thank you very much. Do send in pics of your weekend activities. 913-590-303. And we can have a little jingle. How about that, T-Duck? We're thinking of more jingles, aren't we? And T-Duck's our man for the jingles. So maybe that phone number, 913-590-303, in a 5-part barbershop harmony. All of the parts sung by Owen, maybe, our in-house, our resident chanteur. Antonio, also pleased to see you, is James Antonio. I'm not a big fan of saffron, says T-Duck. It's okay in some dishes, but it doesn't make me mad or angry, right? It's very expensive. Would you call it a herb, a spice, or a colouring, maybe even? Saffron rice. It's a beautiful thing to behold on your plate, isn't it? More about saffron, I'm sure, when James joins us in a few minutes. Good morning, Portugal. Bom dia, todos. I just love your reports from the train. We've got to do something with those, Capricorn. Chris, why not record them and send them to 913-590-303? Actually, they might put people off their breakfast, but I would love to hear some of that train track clickety-clack and people coughing and sneezing as a little bit of a soundscape. Chris, if you can organize that for us. That's right. Guru Slug is back. Back once again with the slimy behavior. We'll see him in a minute or two. Morning from somewhere in Germany. That's where Bobby O'Reilly is at the moment. Jean, hola a todos. Feliz segunda-feira. Como va tudo? Very good, Jean. Excellent stuff. It's hot in the Algarve where Jean is. And I'm going to star up these comments that you've sent to me, Saffron Man. Saffron, yellow, banana slug, yellow. I think that's where we're headed with this. Unless, of course, banana slug extract is used to color rice as well. Ew. Without sacrificing the creature. I did have some snails at the weekend, I have to say, and they were delicious. I'll say that before James gets here, so he doesn't have to hear that. Tens of thousands of people attended these festivities in Mirandela, coming from hundreds of kilometers away, some of them. The bridges and riverbanks were completely full for that 25-minute firework display. Thank you very much, Antonio. And yes, always, please send in things of this kind so that we can share the amazing cultural diversity of Portugal. And we have Dougie in with us with a good morning all as well. The Dougie and the Deagle combo is here this morning. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a nice looking Belfast, but a very wet weekend, or around 50 mils of rain Saturday and Sunday. July was the wettest month on history. How long have they been recording, Deagle? We need to know this with all this climate talk at the moment, don't we? It was the hottest ever on record. How long do those records go back? Well, since the 1980s. And on average, 4 degrees lower most days. A warm 16 degrees today, it says the Deagle. Jess is in. Hello, Jess. Hola todos. Marty also in. Fantastic. Bon dia, Gumpers. Cheers from Guimarães. The view count is never right, is it? There are more people than it says here. And Pete is struggling a little bit after the weekend's festivities and manning the cocktail bar. I am here physically, but not mentally. Second band came on at 3 a.m. this morning. Thanks so much for all the people from this community and our amazing one. We have had support every night. Orca rocks! Well done, Orca. conferences for collaborating. A congress is to make decisions. Oh, excellent. I have sent a few pictures. Cheers, Pete. That's brilliant. So we'll share those. Pam also, so good to see more of Pam. Thank you, Pam. And of Zutos y Pontaps Plagia in Alcobaça. I know that Filomena, who might be at the meetup this week in San Martino de Porto, she was watching her favorite bands, who are Gish EP, Zutos y Pontaps. She saw them in Cantanhede, I think, last night. Those Padrões were placed in newly discovered territory to show the Portuguese had already been there, and it was their area of influence according to the Tordesilhas Treaty. Thank you for that. Maybe that could be some merchandise, some Gumper merchandise, some of those Padrões. What am I doing? I'm trying to say hello to everybody, and it's 2 minutes past 9. That is so rude and likely possible to cause offense. But, you know, if you offend James, he tends to get over it very quickly because he's mindful like that, you see. After Frygate, I'm taking him back into triggering and traumatic territory last week, where he got the type of cooked potato he wasn't expecting, but it didn't faze him, not for more than 30 seconds anyway. Let's talk to him after this.
Bom dia. How can you be mad with that music?
Exactly. It is. There are these little memes that go around, aren't there? If you're mad, try doing X, Y, or Z. And there are things you can't do at the same time, like be mad and hear the uplifting theme tune of Mr. Saffron himself. James, what's that all about? All a bon dia to you.
Well, sometimes my references get a little, what's the word, obtuse? Is that really obscure? Anyway,
obscure.
Sure. Yes. Okay. Yes. So it's an old 60s reference. Are you familiar with the performer Donovan?
I'm just mad about. Yes, I know that track, but it wasn't a Saffron, was it? What was he singing about?
Yes, he's mad about Saffron. Saffron's mad about me. I always assumed it was a woman's name as well as a spice, but perhaps he was just really crazy about Saffron the spice. I don't know.
Okay.
And then you missed a couple clues. One is my image on my name. It's Guru Slug meditating. Yes. So it's like, how could oops. And the name of the song is Mellow Yellow. And in that
Yellow, yes, that was his other tune, wasn't it?
In that song, he says, "That's right, Slick. They call me Mellow Yellow." So I use that as one of my comments, and apparently you missed them all. So good job.
Well, in my
and I'm sure you're not the only one. I would be surprised if more than 10% of the audience got it today.
I'd be very surprised. And
I think Thunder picked up on it and then made a joke about mad being angry as opposed to crazy about. So
yes, I saw that. I did see that. And if you ever wondered who puts the Mensa test together, it is James. And you see a little bit of that influence coming through in the mornings here.
And in the past, I've made a couple references to Slug through musicians and songs. So
yes,
added that.
Okay, and I'm looking at the first thing that comes up on a quick search of Donovan, Saffron, and meaning. Saffron, aphrodisiac, electrical banana, vibrator, 14, what? Mellow yellow, the color of saffron and bananas, and him being yellow, maybe. Oh, that's just a terrible guess by somebody on a forum, isn't it? However, they got the #1 slot on Google, and the kink of that's from Far Out magazine. There are some seriously weird. You really opened a can of worms here, as well as slugs and other things.
Snails, slugs, worms, all of it. Yes.
Mellow Yellow, a song written and recorded by Scottish. I didn't know he was Scottish. Donovan. In the US, it reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Outside the US, Mellow Yellow peaked at number 8 in the UK in early 1967. The song, guess what? The song, and who's tried this here? I think it's safe to say so now. It's probably a long time ago. And actually, I'm a bit concerned about you if you tried this in the last couple of weeks or since you've been here in Portugal, although it's probably not against the law. The song was rumored to be about smoking dried banana skins, which was believed to be a hallucinogenic drug in the 1960s, which many young people have discovered is not the case, I suspect.
As I understood it, not only was it not hallucinogenic, it was toxic. So.
Yeah, and it was a time when mums were really delighted, weren't they, when their young sons, probably, let's face it, said, "Mom, can I have a banana?" "Oh, yes, of course you can, honey."
It's full of potassium.
That's right. "Oh, there's my special little guy. He's loving fruit now." And all he wanted to do.
Thanks, Mom.
I'll take 2. Johnny wants one as well.
Exactly.
And then those 2 little rascals threw the fruit away, tried, and they probably could barely.
Banana, they're trying to light it up.
So Johnny says to young James, "Do you think we really need to dry these out?" "We can't wait for that, man. Let's just smoke them now." So if you want to fess up to smoking a banana skin this morning,
I guarantee it happened somewhere on the planet. That happened.
There are people here. Come on, James. We know there are people here who tried that. There was a kid in my class who tried it. I remember now. And I'm not sort of, shifting the blame and focus to another kid. But there's always seems to be one kid in the class who will do whatever. We didn't have social media, did we, to discover these things? I don't know how they came about. Maybe people
or to introduce them.
Exactly. But still, young, curious, and inquisitive youths would still find out about these things and do them. And I know this kid, it might have been the same kid who blew his eyebrows off one year, came back to school with no eyebrows. No, it wasn't.
I can't do it.
This guy, I'm thinking now of at least 3 things. He had an unseemly accident in the rugby scrum, which meant nobody wanted to lock anywhere near him. He was the one who smoked banana skins, I'm sure, behind the prefabricated classrooms that us first years had. And he blew his eyebrows off after the summer holidays or came back from a weekend with no eyebrows. And
he had lots of friends who always walked around in a circle around him and said, "Yeah, do it, do it."
Yes,
wherever he went.
That kid. And there's one in every, at least in every school, in every class. Oh, wow. Andrew, how are you, I wonder? If you've made it this far, mate, just a thought. Oh my word. Okay, so thank you for that. That took quite a long time to unpack and decode, did it not?
Well, it's a look into my mind anyway.
It is, isn't it? Yikes! Dare we go any further?
How obscure can James get?
Yes, right. And maybe in years to come there will be.
Well, and even the image is a mellow yellow guru slug. All right, he's meditating. Yeah. So
we love him.
Put it all together. It's a show.
It is. It's its own show, isn't it? Well done, well done. And one day maybe there will be a padroish outside your current abode which says, "Here, the many musings of the banana slug took place," aka, and it has to be a massive bloody stone, won't it, to get all your names on it. So how
formerly known as James the Great, now just James.
Right. And the camera are going to say to themselves, "This is going to cost a fortune in stonework." Stonemason, write it smaller. We can't afford this. How was your weekend? And just so you know, James, the weekend is the bit between Friday and today, Monday.
Okay, let's see. And today's Monday, so that would be yesterday and the day before. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
I'd have to say it was pretty mellow.
Of course you would, after all of that. Yes. And any insight bubbling up on those 2 days or the other 7 between now and when we last spoke?
So many I can't keep track. No, I think the insights have slowed down a bit. Now it's just now it's mostly the remembering the insights that have shown up throughout the life and putting them to practice, application.
Oh, okay. Let me tell me more about this curve then. So
go ahead.
No, it just sounds like it's turned from, the constant sort of brain farting of earlier life into the coalescing of more tangible chunks of information upon which you reflect and share.
Yeah, maybe our diet gets better, so we fart less and get insights more, or the farts change to something that's more insightful. I don't know.
So beautifully put. So beautifully put. Thank you for
It,
picking
yes,
that up and
it
running with.
certainly doesn't eliminate the 13-year-old boy mind. So he's still alive and kicking, as you can see.
Never, I hope, James. Never.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I worked with a high school age young man years ago, and he was incredibly smart and really kind of destroying himself with drugs and I mean all kinds of stuff, which is how he came to be my client. And almost every week I saw him, he would come up and say, James, I was thinking about this, and man, it just wow in my mind, it just boo, and then he would come out with this brilliant insight about himself or about life or his relationship with his family or whatever. Brilliant. I thought, oh, this kid's going to do great. He's so aware. He's so insightful. And then the next week he'd come with another insight, but also a history of all the same crap he'd been doing before. And the next week, another brilliant insight. And the next week, another one, and just full of brilliant insights. And finally, I had to say to him, I said, insight is only as valuable as your willingness to do something with it. So, yes, that's the key. And I think that is hopefully for those of us who actually make it to our senior years, it's a function of learning from those insights and applying those insights and doing less foolish things. I also learned in the process that this is an interesting brain development fact. Things you might not have known, but as the brain develops, the excitement-seeking, curiosity parts of the brain fire first. They're the ones that develop first. And they go bam, 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 and that's right around early adolescence. That curiosity has been there a long time, but this excitement-seeking thing, it just sort of, it all reaches its height of development right around adolescence or early adolescence. And what I call God's great joke is that the executive function, prefrontal cortex stuff that says, I wonder if that's a good idea. Maybe I should think this through. It hasn't developed yet. So you ask, like, why are these teenagers doing this crazy stuff? Don't they know it'll kill them? It's like, not really, they don't.
They've not thought it through, have they?
That's what I told the parents I was working with. I said, that's your function. Your job is to be their executive function so they survive adolescence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they may not like you for it, but they may thank you for it someday in their 50s when they realize, oh, my parents were just keeping me alive when I was doing all that stupid crap.
If not for those constant curfews, lockdowns, and groundings, I might not be here.
That's not fair. No, life is not fair. I'm sorry, it's not.
Those words, that still grates a little bit, but we have better context for that now, don't we?
Yes.
Wow. So there you are then. Are you perhaps suggesting, and if this is what you are suggesting, I would agree with you that it's not that big a deal to have lots of ideas. It's funny, actually, going back to me mentioning my first job at the Natural History Museum in Kensington. I worked with a team there. And the design guy used to say this. He used to say, I'm an ideas man. And I was quite impressed at the time that you could have a job being an ideas man. And now in later life, I think it's not that big a deal being an ideas man. Most people have ideas. And you're quite right to say it's acting on ideas that makes a difference.
Yeah, well, if you've got a structure where all you need to be responsible for is the ideas, and you've got a team of people who will then go about looking at how to make those ideas happen, you can have some great ideas that other people might not have.
Yes.
But an idea is only as valuable as are willing to put it into some kind of practice or to apply it. Otherwise, it's just an idea. It's like thoughts.
Exactly.
Another idea.
Yes, that's me for sure. I am like that, and that's why the getting into better shape has not happened yet. I've had a lot of ideas about it, but
it's a great idea.
Isn't it a great idea? What do you
mean?
Too
bad you can't get fit just thinking about it.
Isn't it just now? That's the technology we need, James, isn't it? Is where ideas. Why can't AI enact an idea for you and then bring it back to you fully formed?
Yeah,
That's
well, I don't know that it can't, or
well, that's true.
probably
Oh,
soon would be.
yeah,
All those guys in charge of making the idea come true, it'll just be AI working that one out.
that's right. And careful what you wish for, right? Because there may be a machine that acts upon your wishes. And I might think, I'd like to get in better shape. And then I'm whisked by robots from this room in an instant and taken to the gym. Said, that's what you asked for. Go. And then they start, tugging at me and making me lift weights and stuff. Maybe that world is coming. Maybe
The ideal shape for you would be this. So you're not done until you meet that standard, and then you
That's
must
right.
maintain it. Yes.
Yeah, I'll be back in 6 weeks.
That's called a coach.
It is, isn't it?
Isn't that right, Ian? That's the coach's job. We don't need AI for that. We've got real eye for that.
It's coming, though, isn't it? It is
Human
coming.
eye.
Those robots are going to be very unforgiving. You said, and here it is. Here's the protocol for doing it. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. No, I prefer this world. Thank you.
It's a bit softer.
Stay where you are, Elon. Let's stand down on that particular idea. Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll come back to you with a few more insights and reflections after we said a few more hellos this morning. James, bon dia, Gumpers. Hope you all had a fabulous weekend. Certainly did. By Andre. Hope you're doing well. And Pete, we've got the pictures, Pete. Thank you, from the Orca Festival. And Anthony F saying, one more night to enjoy. The Orca Festa is over at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we're still in the middle of it there for Pete. Sleep will certainly come after. So he's just having a little breather rather than, I suppose, contentedly looking at the fruit of his work. Not till tomorrow, it would seem. Up there in Mirandela, the river we were looking at is the Tua. Not heard of that one. It ends up is a tributary of the Douro, it would appear. And let's have another quick look at it here. Oh, here they are. Here are the banks of the River Tua up there in Mirandela. Thank you so much, Antonio. Very thoughtful. I think you've had to go off to work now, but we'll see you. Antonio is busy on the Learn About Portugal platform as well, continuing the good work of T-Duck and the sayings of the day. They are still coming. I think on that thread there are now we're getting it towards 200 comments, if not all complete Portuguese sayings there. So that work continues that T-Duck started. Mrs. M is having a lie-in this morning. Morning, love. She says you're a legend. Thank you very much. It's nice to hear that I'm a legend. João Ferreira as well here.
Hola, João.
Now that sounds to me like a dance move. What did Cambal? Does that mean pals or buddies? I'm guessing it does. It's a term of affection, I suspect, from João F. And here's another one. Bon dia. Parceiro as well. Look at this, picking up and running with the saffron. Oh, before we do that, FU, Facebook user is saying bon dia a todos. I wonder which one is that. You've got to give Facebook permission to show your name. Whoever you are, you're most welcome. Saffron. Every county in Ireland has a colour and a nickname. Antrim, which Belfast is in, is called the Saffron County. County Antrim plays in a yellow shirt. Fans known as the Saffron Army. Who knew? And he's asking, with this was another one of those things, isn't it? As well, this probably came before smoking banana skins. Carl, ever lick a square battery? I think that's known as the PP9. I remember as a kid doing it, and you got a wee burn on your tongue. So you did it again to find out if that really just happened. Ouch! Yes, it did. And then you say to other kids, "Go on, lick this battery. Put your tongue across the two terminals." They would lick the same battery that you just licked as well. It's a wonder we're alive, isn't it? Basically, with those sort of behaviors.
Yes, and the girls are all going, "What?
What is wrong with these? What is wrong with these boys?
Why would you do that?"
Yeah, and you would say, "Well, don't knock it until you've tried it. It really hurts."
I get a real charge out of it.
Hey.
Oh, there went again.
Kid joke. It's an early dad joke.
Yes, the formation of dad jokes.
Yeah, it was like dad joke in evolution there. So a wee burn means a small one, just in case anyone's wondering, rather than a burn when you weed.
Although you could go wee, and that could be the burn that you got too. So
that's right. But
so many meanings.
Yeah, there were. Any more of those? So we've got smoking banana skins, a childhood reflection, smoking banana skins, and licking battery terminals. The small 9-volt, not the car battery, thankfully. Although, again, maybe somebody did that here. Guys, we'll have to wrap it up today. Back tomorrow. And God willing, Antonio F. Hope you enjoy the other videos of the fireworks. We certainly will. And we will climax with your 2-minute 2 minutes of the 25 minutes that people were treated to up there in Mirandela over the weekend. Talking about saffron yellow, ever play the game? Here we go. Here's another one. Ever play the game Yellow Nip? You are, it sounds a bit racist to me, but you are in the car, which was probably okay in those days. We didn't know any better. You are in the car, see a yellow car, van nip the person beside you and say yellow nip. Children busy looking out for yellow cars on trips. No, I have not played that game. I played a sort of, our kids play, first to see a red van, but no physical violence is involved. But isn't it amazing, again, how games involved hurting each other?
Yes, I've had adult friends who punch when they see a certain car.
Seriously,
I say, no, I don't. I'm not playing this game. Thank you very much.
Especially when you're driving, you get punched in the back of the head. Okay, you just saw a red car. Enough now, right?
Yes,
that's not.
I mean, it has the game to be a challenge needs to be a car you rarely see, so you really have to keep your eyes open. It doesn't happen a lot, but still, it's like no.
If you wanted to punch someone a lot in Portugal, you would just say black car. You play black car punch, wouldn't you?
Yes.
And then you'd be punched every
yes.
just about every car.
Yeah, in the US, you just say SUV, and you just be black and blue. It's like
find out who your friends are in those sort of situations. Gene, Deagle, in the US, we used to spot license plates. Each of the 50, that's a good game on a long road trip, isn't it? Each of the 50 states has its own. Which is the most difficult to see, though? I suppose Alaska, when you're in Texas, maybe. We would see how many of them we could spot. Very good. Sunny Wolf is off to explore Forge today. Hello, one of your many different names as you appear to have across social media. Have a great time in Forge. It's beautiful. It will be quieter today than it was yesterday. Pam, I want to see Philomena's face as you pronounce Juch y Pontapsh. Pam, come on, don't be like that. What is the right way to do it? How would you go about saying that?
That last E, you tend to miss your accented vowels, and to me, they're magic because it's the only place in the Portuguese language that has hard and fast rules always. It says, put the emphasis here and pronounce this vowel this way. And it's esh.
Which I'm not doing. So, Jutas y Pontapes.
No, Pontapes. The accent, Pontapes.
Pontapes.
Peixe.
Off, James.
Pontapes, not esh. That's the little hat, but yeah, Pontapes.
And I'm sure it's Xutos.
I think you got that one. Probably shoots or jutes. The X still confuses me.
All right, Jutas y Pontapes. All right, Pam, I'll get you now. Right, I'll work on that between now and when I see her on Wednesday. I think she's coming to this coming Wednesday's meetup in San Martino de Porto. I will confirm in due course if you want to meet Philomena in person. She may well be at the meetup on Wednesday here in San Martino.
And just so I can remind everyone, because I heard it 3 times in the course of 10 minutes once, and I kept going. So it's Lagos. It's
Lagos.
not
Lagos. What idiot said that, James? Which idiot said that, pronounced it like that?
Well, there were several. But I hear it repeatedly, and it just, again, I love the rules because the language is difficult enough. If you have a standard, the standard is penultimate syllable, 2 syllables. Penultimate would be the first one.
Yes.
First syllable vowel is almost always, if not always, the long form. So it's going to be la, gush, la gush. And it took me a long time to figure out that second part, that if the vowel is in the emphasized syllable, it's pronounced as if it has one of those little slanted accents over it.
Lagos.
Almost always, yeah. Lagos.
Lagos. Isn't that what I said?
No, you said Lagos.
Now, there is a phenomenon whereby you think you've got it now, and then when you come to say it again, it's like, what? Oh God, what was he saying? How am I supposed to say this? It happens with people's names, doesn't it? And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Well, this is where knowing the rules for me, and again, there are few, but knowing the rules that there are, sorry, Pamela. We all love toying with you and your language, and I have to say, in this, I so appreciate that you're just out there presenting yourself, doing what you know, and being so open to the feedback that you get. I'm far from an expert on Portuguese, but I'm learning the rules because they help me to narrow down the feeling of infinite ways of saying things and doing things. Oh, here's the rule. Oh, I think I worked it out. I think if it's emphasized, the vowel's going to be pronounced with the open sound. Things like that. Well, that second one I hadn't been taught, but I just by observation. So
good, yeah.
So for me, I slow down. That's not you. You barrel in. You're like Hank. You just barrel in, which is a way that you get practice and you learn and you communicate far more than I do. So I really admire that. It's not a criticism, it's just a difference in style.
I get it. Yeah, I do get it, and that's right. It has its upside, and that is the upside, isn't it? Being unafraid to make mistakes, as perhaps Hank and I are. We get out there and we get laughed at in cafes.
No, laughed with. Actually, the Portuguese people really, they just so appreciate you're even making an effort. They don't care if you're not doing it right. It's just, hey, he's trying. Yay.
Yes,
nice.
Very trying. And I know it would be different in France or other countries who would, there's a spectrum of, oh, wow, they're trying to speak our language. That's beautiful. To how dare they ruin our language like that?
Stupid foreigner.
Stupid foreigner.
Destroying our language.
It's coming over here and destroying our language. Like it's, almost like it's an assassination attempt right in front of their very eyes and a crime scene and a very difficult atmosphere.
Yeah, it's an act of violence against them.
Exactly. It is laugh. And even
not
Brits.
all French, all right? Yes. Make that clear.
Okay, all right.
We're having some fun.
There's me barreling in again with a nice generalization.
Well, all of us.
Yes. Yeah,
well, I had a friend who is Mexican, but grew up in the United States, spoke English, was learning French, was trying to get some administrative bureaucratic stuff done in an office, approached the clerk very politely as she did with, I'm new to the country, I don't speak much French. She was able to say in French. She asked if he could speak English. And his response was, yes, I can, but I'm not going to.
Really?
That's what he said.
Well,
and she just like, what?
Yes, because you would think, wouldn't you, that would be an invitation for kindness and connection.
Yeah, and in Portugal, it always gets a smile and a pat on the head, and sure, honey, I'll help you out. I mean,
exactly.
Cultural differences, yes.
Isn't it amazing?
It could have been just a really bad day for him, but I had a personal experience where I went to pay for my lunch afterwards. The guy was talking with a friend, and I was just standing there waiting probably 5 minutes. And he finally looked at me with this look on his face, like, what the fuck do you want? Whoops, excuse my language.
Oh, hold on a minute. Wait. I need to just rewind and... Okay, we're fine now. Yeah.
It's all delayed, tape delayed, yeah. And I fumbled in English because I didn't know barely any French at all. And I kind of had my money or my card or whatever. And I said, to pay. He came at me and the whole transaction was as if he was totally disgusted with me and wished I hadn't had lunch in the restaurant today. It was, I just said, okay, so I'm beginning to understand what they say. And again, this was near Paris, and it tends to get focused on the city of Paris. The Parisians have their own way. Those types of Parisians, I should say. I don't ever want to stereotype and have people have hurt feelings saying, I'm not one of those. I understand there's probably many more who are not that way. But for those few, it's like bad dog owners. There may not be a lot of them, but they spoil the experience for every dog owner.
That's true. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So
well said.
Anyway.
Yeah, and we do deal in generalities, and we're always ready to apologize as well here. I'm struggling a little bit here because I've just discovered quite a lot of lavender flavored shaving foam in my moustache, which is now mainly in my mouth, it feels like.
So you'd be mad about lavender?
Yes,
in an angry way.
I could quite easily be in an angry way. And I don't know, maybe it'll help with my Portuguese pronunciation. It is one of those fantastic Portuguese products. Some shaving cream in a tube, that very old-fashioned brand, whose name escapes me now. But they make the toothpaste.
Not Kuto.
Yes, I think it is not Kuto.
Kotu.
I did that on purpose. I did that on
that
purpose.
Yes. I did that on purpose because you came to Sousa, which is how I was taught OUSA is pronounced.
Yes.
Jean-Philippe Sousa was a march composer in the United States. Huge. Virtually all the marches in the United States were written by Jean-Philippe Sousa, which I'm finding out is Jean-Philippe Sousa.
Yes, right.
Right. He was Portuguese. So, but it's hard. You get into that habit. Sousa. No, it's Sousa.
You just said Portuguese. And in England, I say Portuguese. Isn't that funny? I wonder, now there won't be a Portuguese pronunciation of that, will there? Because that is actually...
You just said Portuguese right there. There won't be a Portuguese.
You say Portuguese, and I say Portuguese. I think...
No, you just said Portuguese. You said Portuguese. The accent is in the O on that one. When you say Portuguese, I may have emphasized it more. I was being rather lively.
If we're saying it as an English and Americans, we've got our own way of saying it, haven't we? We're not using the Portuguese pronunciation at that point.
So maybe, I don't know. But if I'm referring to someone from Portugal, I refer to them as a Portuguese.
Oh, a Portuguese. Yeah. Okay.
Right. But if I'm talking about talking about the language, no, that's Portugal. I put the emphasis on Portuguese. Yes. Yeah. So the language, I say Portuguese. I don't know if in Britain they make a distinction between the language and the people or not, but
we have you go on the E's, I think, which is very un-British, in fact, to emphasize E's. But it's like there's Portuguese and Portuguese, which is where you and I seem to have a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, and I haven't broken it down, but the way you said it, at least how I heard it, when you say Portuguese, I'm thinking, the language.
Yes, yeah.
Right. But if you say Portuguese, you're talking about the people. That's how I hear it.
And we're into that territory now where we've said a word so many times, it starts to kind of lose its meaning, or I lose my grip on it as well. So I'm gonna rest for a moment.
Yes, and it kind of has something to do with being verbs or nouns or adjectives, or like what place they take, and looking at the own language. I actually am. I was going to say proud, that's too strong. I really appreciate the fact that I have a really good ear. Like I can identify birds by hearing the song once I get the song or their voices memorized. So I can identify a bird without ever seeing it because I heard it. And I come to Portugal and I can read it better. I can speak it better than I can hear it. I cannot hear the language yet. And I get very, very frustrated because I keep trying to tune it in. And my Portuguese friends, all of whom were here today, have been helping me, but it's still.
Why is that then? Is it because you didn't grow up with those? Well, I guess you did grow up with the birds in some, as it were. Is it because you didn't grow up with the Portuguese? What would it be called? Scale palette of sounds and pronunciation?
Well, I saw a really interesting article on the language a few weeks back, and I can't remember the scientific terms or the linguistic terms, but the explanation, the article caught my attention. Why is Portuguese so difficult to learn? And it had to do with that most of the Romance languages are, I can't even remember it well enough, but it has to do with how words are pronounced and how the vowels fit in. And so the emphasis is on that in speaking the language, and that Portuguese is a rhythm-based or something like that language. So it has nothing to do with how it sounds, but where the emphasis is and how the words come together. And it's just like a different kind of music, like maybe, bass and drum techno versus trance, where you get a melody, right? So you got
more so somebody coming from a non-industrial culture and hearing which is 4 on the floor, and they've come from a different time signature and different a whole load of different
Bach.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And, maybe somebody from that time in history walking into a disco or a nightclub and hearing the modern sounds and thinking how monotonous They are.
So yeah, so it's a different way of listening and a different way of speaking than what we're familiar with. So, but
and of course, because language creates culture and how people think and behave, there must be some very unique Portuguese ways of being and contributions to the world that have come from the very language itself, which must be fascinating and maybe a clue to the exploratory colonial nature of the Portuguese and how they are in the world and how they are as people towards other people, as we often say. You know, the friendliness, the openness might be something to do again, going right back to how they make a structure of the world from the language itself, which we are struggling to get our heads around.
Yes, I say so often, language is culture.
Yes.
It tells you about the culture. So immediately I'm going relaxed, melodic, smooth, easy in terms of the flow.
Yes, right.
Because it does flow. But to me, it sounds kind of like a white noise with kind of a rhythm to it.
Absolutely.
I don't hear anything distinctive in it yet. I know it's there, but it's very different, except the words I already know. Those pop out like bam, bam.
Yes.
So it's bam, bam.
I've never heard Portuguese described in quite that way, but it makes complete sense. And then, of course, we have the Brazilian and European Portuguese.
I don't even, I'm not, like someone says Brazilian Portuguese, don't even talk to me yet. I want to learn this one first.
Yeah, but we see, don't we, that it might be that the the Brazilian mindset says we're not going to be confined by those rules.
Let's party.
Let's party with the language. And they did, didn't they? They are.
Put on the music.
That is what's
beat whistles, the drums, yeah.
Yeah, bonjour. I mean,
more stereotypes, I know.
Speaking from the hips, absolutely. Wow, okay. Let's see.
I tend to believe that there, and I don't know if it's true, it's just me and my logic mind saying, I think that Brazilian Portuguese must have been influenced somewhat by Spanish, at least in pronunciation, because as I hear it, it's more staccato and the vowels are, I think I've been told by Portuguese that the vowels are all not emphasized, but clearly pronounced, which is more like Spanish and Italian and even French. But I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I do pay attention. I'm trying to learn, as you can see.
It's all
a
very
lot more about it than I used to.
I think for some people this really helps. You know, understanding the background and context really helps with learning the language. So if that's you, I'm glad to be of service this morning. We have another suggestion, the slug bug. And this, of course, that is a new feature suggestion. What's bugging the slug today? Today's slug bug is a bon dia gang from Suze. We might have said hello to you, but you can have another one there, Suze. In my school, there was a short-lived craze of taking the blade out of your pencil sharpener and cutting your thumb. Yes, you see, this is exactly this sort of behavior, isn't it? That we do need to.
So, Pamela, did you do that, or was it just the boys?
So send a picture if you want to on 913-590-303 of your thumb.
But in a very bizarre way, I can see that girls might do that.
Yes, true. Pam, if that's you.
I don't know why, but somehow it's like, oh, a girl might say,
I think we're going to get more of these, aren't we? Taking the ink tube out of a Bic pen and turning it into a pea shooter. There was a whole craze of that, and how our schools ended up pebble dash with small bits of tissue paper on their walls. That must have been a nightmare for janitors at the time.
Oh, I'm sure they loved it.
Yeah, they needed something to moan about, didn't they? That's, again, another stereotype of janitors. I've been a school caretaker. I know what it's like. Cambada means bunch. Okay. It's a nice little...
Cambada dash bananas. Cambada da banana.
Americans love the word bunch, don't they? A bunch of stuff, a bunch of people, a bunch of...
a bunch of bananas. I mean, that's what they're called. That's what we call multiple bananas. So that, you buy off the hook. It's a bunch.
Well, you say that's what they're called. That's
in
what
the United States, I'm saying.
Yes, of course, in the new territories. But in Britain...
in that bastard language called American English.
Yes, I think you'll find, my dear friend, they are called a hand of bananas back in Her Majesty's.
A hand? Truly?
Yes, a hand of bananas.
Wow, so you only get 5 in a bunch.
Well, unless of course the children have been watching. No, it's not. No, unless it's a Simpsons hand of bananas, then it's 4. But if the children have been watching the television, they may be speaking in an American way and ask mother for a bunch of bananas. But otherwise, it's a hand, dear chap. We used to.
So you can ask someone to hand you a hand.
Yes, you can. Very good. Very good. I like a demonstration to prove your understanding. We used to spot motorbikes on road trips. Really? Is that because there weren't many of them, or you were motorbike fans? Happy times. Happy times.
Well, there's less of them than cars generally. So that's the idea. It needs to be a challenge. You know, if it's just a punch when you see a car, it's like, what's the point?
Yes. As you keep changing your name like a chameleon, I prefer to call you by your own true one. Hi, James Holley from Chihuahua.
No problema.
Sí, cierto, verdad. Yesterday's Expats Portugal show was excellent. Well, it was published yesterday. It was recorded last Thursday, and it was the things I wish I'd known. And James took part in that. It was good, wasn't it? It was a good evening.
It was. I think we parted a lot of good information for folks.
So that's available over on the Expats.
And there were 73 people who tuned in, who actually registered to participate.
I think it was more by the end of it. It was a busy night for sure, and there will be hundreds of viewers of it.
Which at least implies that it's the type of question people are concerned about.
Yes, it was. And it's the funny thing is, you're never, even from watching excellent videos like this, there's still going to be something you wish you'd known, because you don't know what you don't know, do you? And you'll have your own to share in time, of course. But that said, there were some useful things that will save people from pain. And that, of course, was our deep thought of the day, wasn't it? You're never going to live long enough to make all the mistakes you need to learn from. So share them out. Let people learn. Let us learn from each other's mistakes.
Share your incompetence with the world.
Yes, just like my language approach. James's face as he teaches Carl Ponta Page. Mr. S is enjoying that, isn't he?
Ponta Page.
And the accented syllables are the ones you actually hear in spoken Portuguese. Penultimate rules, except words ending in Z. That's for Americans. Or Z, where I'm from. R, L, I, and
Yeah.
Good
so there's
morning,
more rules than we're generally taught when we're trying to learn English from someone who's teaching us. Those help me.
Yes.
Like, okay, then I can eliminate, out of the infinite number of words, I can eliminate those words that have those rules, because I know how to do that.
And isn't it amazing, James, what is going on in someone's mind before they ask for a cup of coffee or an ice cream or a piece of cake? So much is going on, isn't it, in those moments that, where your native Portuguese speaker is now unconsciously competent, and we are so not. And there is a massive amount of effort. The light, if we were computers, the light would go on, wouldn't it? The hard drive would be illuminated, or the indicator thereof. And there'll be this incredible thought process, lots of energy being burned. That's why you need sweet cakes here in Portugal. Energy being burned, brain power being used just to form, can I have an ice cream, please? It's incredible.
Yes, and it's a great way when we want to complain about how lousy translation apps are.
Yeah.
Just put what you have to do to learn one language into applying a technology that will do it for every language correctly every time.
Yes.
It's almost impossible. So I appreciate the translation apps that are there, but I don't depend on them as a way to learn the language. So.
Shout out to all the people involved in such endeavors, trying to help. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, of course. Good morning, everybody. Bon dia todos. Bumpers this morning. There's something wrong.
Bumper gumpers. I like it.
She was hardening the other day when in fact she was gardening. And now she's bumping instead of gumping this week. Morning to you, Johnny. I've never smoked a banana. So that sounds like Bill Clinton suddenly, doesn't it? I did not smoke that banana.
I did not inhale.
A long time ago.
Then why did you light it up?
But look at this. Look, was there a rumor going around that paella in a pipe blew your mind and gave you transcendental insight? Paella in a pipe. That's a prank. That is not a teenage nirvana, is it? That's just a straight up prank.
And why would you ever want to smoke it? Just eat it.
Exactly. And which bit of paella was it? The rice? I think there's some saffron in paella, isn't there? Was it the rice? Was it a shrimp? Was it a bit of chicken or a bit of chorizo in
It's
there?
the mix, Carl. It's the blend.
All of that in
The
one.
fine paella blend will give you the greatest tie.
Packing it all in the pipe.
That's right.
Someone
and then
asked,
trying to ignite it. I mean, it's got to be one of the wettest things you could try to put on fire.
are you there yet? No, I still need to pack the shrimp in. No, we're nearly there.
And then I got to dry it. So give me a couple of weeks.
What were you thinking, Johnny? We need to know the backstory for that. And thank you for being here. I guess nobody ever loved you, Carl Munson, for your pronunciation of Portuguese words. But don't worry, we love you just the same. Thank you. I could think of
he didn't say nobody loved you. He just said nobody loved you for all of that stuff.
That's the only bit I read, though.
Yes,
that is what the ego is looking out for, isn't it? Such a crushing.
That's why the therapist is here to help you, Carl.
Thank you, James. We love you just the same. I couldn't think of a better host of a better host to this show other than you. Well, thank you. And one of my reviews of the podcast, on one of my reviews on the podcast was when I started maybe a sub podcast or a little adjunct to the podcast teaching Portuguese, and someone actually says over on Apple reviews, this man should not be teaching Portuguese. He should stick to things he's good at.
To his day job, yeah.
If they actually say something really like that.
Yes.
So to you, I'm doing my best. Yeah.
Well, if you could learn the rules, you could teach the rules, great. But I wouldn't say go to Carl for Portuguese pronunciation.
Yeah, and I go to him for enthusiasm about the language, but never about pronunciation. And yeah, that's and the rules. I'm not a rule guy either, so it doesn't delight me to. Oh wow, there's a rule about the Portuguese language. I can't wait to write that down and put it into practice. Like, there's a rule about Portuguese. I'll ignore that.
Rules.
Yes. Carl, isn't that what I said? James, no. He said, oh gosh. Mr. S, you're enjoying this too much. Spoken Portuguese almost seems like a different language. I say this. There are at least two versions of Portuguese. One is the written, one is the spoken.
Yeah, so we're really learning two languages, and I've spoken with a few Portuguese who really don't like us saying that because it's one language, and if you knew the language, you wouldn't say that. It's like, well, obviously, but I don't know the language, and it does. I have this experience of it, so I can't say yes, this is the way the language is. But at least English speaking, which is primarily American. No, I know a few Brits too, have the same thing. It's like I can read it. I can speak it, but I can't hear it. It's the same kind of thing. So and I think it's in that structure. Yes.
Yes. Look, sold by the hand, indeed. Thank you, Mr. S. Look at that. I feel validated.
So oranges like this is a hand of oranges,
I don't know about oranges. I mean,
how many could you fit in one hand?
Well, were they sold on the vine, as it were, back in the day? Interesting. Thank you very much.
Maybe it was just people handing it to you, so you got it by the hand.
No.
So see, and now we're speaking English, a language we were born and raised with. Try explaining all of that to a Portuguese trying to learn English.
And then you say to a Portuguese person, "Could you deliver this letter by hand?" It's like, are there 4 more letters to come? What?
That's right.
What is happening here? Yeah.
Do I need a banana to do this?
Okay. Many of the musings on Mindful Migration Monday would appear to be about the language. I suspect it wasn't what you came here to talk about, James, but we've only got 10 minutes left. We've got a lot to squeeze
it doesn't
in.
matter.
Who doesn't like to squeeze a lot in first thing in the morning? I know I do. So thank you, Jean and Johnny, this morning. You need to hear the sound of Portuguese. The hills are alive with the sound of Portuguese, an outstanding YouTube language channel by Adriana. Okay, that's a good tip. Thank you. Most English people are not as understanding as the Portuguese if you make language mistakes like me. That's a horrible generalization. But
how dare you? Stop talking that way about us.
Yes,
and get it right, would you?
That is so personal and offensive, but she's also right, I suspect. Yes, same thing with mashing words together, dropping sounds. There is a rhythm to it. There's rules to the mashing and dropping that you need to pick up on both cases And Jean, I think, is a pretty outstanding student of the Portuguese language, or Portuguese. Bon dia, says Linda. Right now, Linda's popped in as an interesting show this morning. Thank you for saying that. An interesting show this morning. And would like to remind everyone about our wine club show tonight, something cultural, as we will be tasting the lovely Biologique Portuguese Rosé. And that is indeed what we are tasting tonight. And I thought I had a slide of it, just in case you can. It's not too late to pop out and go find yourself. Oh, here we go. Beautiful. Not unlike yourself, Linda Austin, who I think is behind the choice here. Certainly Gary and Linda will be with us tonight at 8 o'clock on this very channel. And there's a description of Linda and the wine. Beautiful, seductive, fresh, and intense. The Altano Organic Rosé, which we'll be trying tonight. Altano up in the Douro. I am not a big fan of rosé. I'll say it now. But I suspect that was to be delicious, and it will be fun.
But
tonight.
Are you a fan of saffron?
Yes, I am. I do like a bit of saffron on the rice.
Are you mad about it?
Not mad about it.
Okay.
I wouldn't be disappointed if my rice wasn't saffron colored.
Although so you're pretty mellow then.
Is this a new spectrum of response? It is, isn't it? Mad from mad to what's it? Mad via mellow to.
Smoke and banana peels.
Yeah. Okay. I nominate. Look, this is dangerous. I nominate Carlos Portugal's MC, Master of Ceremonies. That's dangerous. I take it, but I don't know if I'm the best man for the job, especially if there are difficult Portuguese.
Well, you do have the voice, and I was going to suggest that a way for you, rather than rules, is mimicking or imitating, because I know you have some fun with that. So just hear someone say something in Portuguese, and then have some fun saying it the way they said it.
Yes, that's so true.
Then you start tuning your ear into how it sounds, and you'll never hear a Portuguese say "Lagos."
It's true. Happen. I can do that. I can do that guy you hear on the adverts.
Yes.
Bingo dos or Vodafone.
That's what made me think of it with the MC thing. Yeah.
Yes, that guy. He's a very busy fellow, isn't he? That unless there's a team of them who say Antena 3 or everything
like
in
the voice on the metro.
Yeah.
That
wonderful woman on the metro and on the railways as well. She's busy too, isn't she? Maybe they're married.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the same woman, the same guy. It's like all the same voice.
Do you think they're a married couple who are very wealthy from their voiceover?
That would be fun to hear them having a conversation, wouldn't it?
It would. And if you were at a dinner party with them, you would just think you're in a railway station or watching TV, wouldn't you?
And maybe you are both, all of the above.
Yes. And then there's the lady from Lidl, estimados clientes, isn't there as well? Caixa dois.
If you say a very specific way of saying things, and then in English with a Portuguese accent. It's wonderful. Yes. I love it.
If you say one sentence in Portuguese, putting the emphasis in different parts of that same sentence. We want examples to this. We can't do it now. We haven't got time. We got the Portugal quiz to do.
Well, I was told, for example, because Sidonio likes to tease me about my afternoon naps, which I do almost every day, which in Portuguese is sexta.
Sexta.
But not sexta. Sexta, not sexta. Sexta is a basket. Sexta is a nap.
So it's like, I'm just going to go and be a basket for 30 seconds.
Yes.
30 minutes. Right.
Time for my basket.
What? So to put your bananas in? Right. Okay.
My hand. I'm putting my hand in there.
Right. Thank you for all your contributions on this matter. I suggest everyone look for themselves at the comments, because we are into the last few minutes. I can't believe it already. It was 6 minutes to go until 10 o'clock. And I need to go and have a sexta, not a sexta. I think sexta. Yeah, thank you, Suze. How are you getting on with your appointment at the Freguesia, Junta de Freguesia? That was I've heard that pronounced quite a few different ways. The Freguesa by English people. I do love the way English people pronounce Portuguese words.
It can be fun. Yes,
it can. Gasoleo on Sabado at the Freguesia. Okay.
For me, listening to Americans who aren't even trying to make it sound Portuguese, they're just using the Portuguese words. Monte Gordo is one of my favorites. Our favorite game host, Monte Gordo.
Monte Gordo should be the name of an MC, shouldn't it?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Monte Gordo.
And Porto.
Monte Gordo live in Porto. It's Monte Gordo.
There you go.
I could be that guy as well.
But they're speaking in Portuguese, so they're saying, Gosto Monte Gordo.
Yes.
But I hear it.
On behalf of all British people, I do apologise to the Portuguese people for many things, in fact, not just how we speak your language, what we've done to the Algarve too. And the local junta said, my Finnish residency, look at this, fantastic news from Snooze, makes me good to stay beyond 90 days, which is coming up quick. After 90 days, it was suggested I get a paper saying so from a junta and then bring it to the camera to switch residency to Portugal, fingers crossed. Oh, fantastic.
There you go, yeah.
Isn't that great?
And Suze, I'm sure you know this. Apply for that paper before that 90 days is up. Like, just do it now. It'll take at least another 90 days to get it in your hand, and then you'll be in fear territory.
Yes. And I told the junta Fraguesa that I wanted certainty. Don't want trouble with Portugal. So she called the police. That's what they said. Okay, so that's brilliant. That's good service, isn't it? I want certainty. Okay, 112. By the hand means by fives. It isn't literal. Likewise, eggs are sold by the dozen. Okay, thank you, Mr. S. Another mine of information.
And that's another new one for me. I'm learning British English along with Portuguese.
Incrível. I've said that correctly. Right.
Close.
I'm going to share. Incrível. Right. I went from English to Portuguese mid-word there. That's why that was a little bit messed up.
Yes.
Right. James, a dad jokes to share with you. A learn about Portugal quiz question for you today as well. And here it is. I'm bringing it onto the screen. Today's learn about Portugal quiz question. Wow, Esperal. See what I did there? So the learn about Portugal quiz question for Monday, the 7th of August, 2023. I am an unashamed fan of Esperal and everything they stand for. We have their olive oil in the kitchen. We drank their Montevideo organic white last time on the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. And it turns out I had one of their fine associated craft ales just this afternoon. They seem to be associated with Corvina. Their reason for being, they say, is to make the finest products that nature provides in a responsible and inspiring way. And this they seem to do if their latest award is anything to go by. Which award was this? It recognizes the most extraordinary cases of sustainable efforts in the wine industry, awarded to producers, wineries that have achieved outstanding levels of sustainability. It is rarely given out and only after careful consideration of first-hand reviewer knowledge. Which award is that then that Esperal have just received, have had bestowed upon them? Was it the Dorothy Parker Award, who said the best way to avoid a hangover is to stay drunk? It was her who said that. And I think many people quote that, but it apparently was Dorothy Parker. Was it the Peter Parker Daily Bugle Award for the best wine, who might have said, with great wine comes great responsibility? Was it the Robert Parker Green Emblem, who said, I've always followed the rule that anything worth doing is worth doing excessively? Was it celeb and winemaker? She's a winemaker. She of Sex in the City, Sarah Jessica Parker. Was it one of her awards who said, at the end of the workday, I have a glass of wine, literally every single day? Every single day, as what Sarah Jessica Parker said? Or was it a Charlie Parker Award, who said any musician who says that he is playing better either on tea, the needle, or when he's juiced, and by that I think he means on alcohol, is a plain straight liar? The videos of Esperal are fantastic. Do you want to hazard a guess there? Do you think it's Peter Parker?
Well, I thought they were all jokes, and then it's like, what? Wait a minute.
No, one of those is true.
One of them has to be true. So that was well done. I thought, oh, this is going to be easy because the one will stand out, but they all sound like somebody's toying with us. No, I don't think it's the Peter Parker one because I happen to know who he is and where all that information came from.
Yes, yeah. And he didn't say with great wine comes great responsibility, did he?
Spider-Man's mentor did not say that.
Yeah,
I mean, did say that, but not about the wine.
Not about wine. You're right, and it's a nice little signal in life, isn't it? With great power comes. Is it power? He originally said. Anyway, I don't want to give too much away. Go to learnaboutportugal.com to make your own guess, if you will. As João F is telling us, James, there is a great advantage in two irritating persons being married to each other. They only spoil one house.
Two for one,
perhaps
or one for two. Yes.
Yes, well, you're not a fan of those two people then. Monte Gordo. Is Monty Gordo the Portuguese counterpart of Monty Python, as Americans say it? Not well. It could be, couldn't it? That could be a new comic creation from
Could
the
be.
expat, foreigner, and immigrant community.
And with the overlap and the Portuguese TV series that was based on the British one, hey, you could have a whole comedy television thing going on there with Monty Gordo, and the flying. Can't use circus. That's too obvious.
He needs a plaid blazer, though, doesn't he, Monty Gordo? He needs a big tie, a plaid blazer.
And one of those microphones that has a big old stick and a little tiny microphone at the end of it.
This is the character
that you can hold with your fingers out and talk in it.
Yes. It's your old pal, Monty Gordo.
Monty Gordo here with today's episode of
How to Pronounce Portuguese.
There you go.
With my friend Joey D'Souza.
And let's start in the north. There's Porto.
Oh, what's his catchphrase going to be? Okay, too much. We're
like me.
We're going to be becoming a little bit esoteric. But
don't worry, you can say it like me.
Okay, Monty Gordo's upcoming Portuguese pronunciation book should be in the shops by Christmas if James can write that, as well as the erotic novel that he was
writing. It's hard to write it. It's got to be a recording.
Yes, it's true. It's going to be a podcast. Is it the Monty Gordo podcast? Hey, it's Monty Gordo.
Monty Gordo here.
Some of that. All right, word of
John
the day.
Philip Sousa. Great composer.
Right, we've got to stop now. It's 2 minutes past 10. People have things to do, Joe. We've got photos. We've got fireworks. And,
oh, my goodness.
I wonder if I've enough space in my bulging sack to squeeze these missives onto the screen now. I have from Peter. This might have to wait till tomorrow, Pete, if we can't get these all on. We've had a busy morning. But here, if with any luck, are some pics from, is that Julie Marsh I'm seeing there? I think these are all going to go on. This is fantastic. This might be Julie Marsh drinking one of, she's from our community, of course, in Fundao, based in Fundao. Yes, here they are, the pictures from the Orca Festival this weekend. There's Pete. I think that's Julie in the front there. And Diane in the background there. They've got their nice green T-shirts on. I think that's fairly early on in the evening. People are still standing there. And here's another. Pete, shaken and not
stirred. He's a regular Bond man.
He is, isn't he? Look at him enjoying himself. Look, Julie again, chief taster, I suspect. And we've got bands, haven't we, playing there on a vast stage with their illuminated dice, or die, some people say. People in swimsuits, is that? Interesting state.
All kind of garb, yeah.
Yeah.
Underwear, bathing suits.
Underwear, bathing suits, and combinations thereof. Well, certainly, people by this stage were stripped down to their underwear. So an excellent party by the sound of it. No doubt fueled by Pete's fine cocktails there. Cheers, Pete, for those. Would you like a little hand of dad jokes?
Absolutely. As long as it's just literally 5 of them.
I might have 5, actually. I might have a visual from you. I might have
You've got a written from me, and you've got 3 from Thunder, so a perfect hand.
We have got a hand of dad jokes, normally called a groan of dad jokes. Stual is
a groan hand. Woo! What?
I fluffed this with Anna Caramujo, and I referred to it as though I knew what I was talking about affectionately as Stubs on Friday. So I wonder if that was correct. She didn't say anything at the time. So let's go to those dad jokes, but not until we've issued this. It seems only right because there's a hand of dad jokes coming. Please take a seat, strap yourself in, whatever you want to do. And
Warning.
Oh no! Here they are. Then yours, you can do yourself here, James, as I find the visual.
Okay, so a grenade thrown into a kitchen in France would result in linoleum blown apart.
Oh, my words. Okay. Ow. Okay.
Or
Oh,
I could emphasize blown
yes.
apart. But I think
I
people.
get it. Linoleum blown apart. It's
Yeah.
good. It's pretty good. That's another character in the making there, isn't it? Was
He and Monty Gordo and his co-host linoleum blown apart.
Here's my French friend who I met in Paris. Linoleum blown apart, everybody. Okay, so what is this one you sent in?
So the therapist says, you have a fear of speed bumps? And the client says, yeah, but I'm slowly getting over it.
Stop it, you idiot. Yes, you deserve that. Okay.
I do. I love it.
All right. And T-Duck's dad jokes then to finish with this morning. And then we'll go straight into the fireworks. Okay.
Well, if you want the full hand, you need the... Oh, that is... Never mind.
Right.
I missed it.
I see.
It's sitting there right in front of my face, and it's like, oh, don't forget. Oh, wait, we got it.
I see what you did here as well. If you don't want a full hour of James Gold, come on over. Thank you very much. You are still toying me with at that point.
Note the image. Note the image.
Yes. Oh, the meditating banana slug there. Okay.
Guru slug. Yes.
Guru slug. Okay. Who's actually holding workshops throughout central Portugal later this summer. Yeah. Mindfulness and that sort of thing.
Well, people might want a workshop from Guru slug, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want one from me.
Okay. Maybe Monty Gordo can be there as well. You were spotted doing this as well.
Oh my God, that too. Yeah, and I actually made that, a version of that comment or that line in the comments. So
yeah, and this was we're wondering why Superboc have bothered with this Sky thing. 30% fewer calories, 3.3% alcohol. Why Superboc? And James with a hack pointing out from your inventory that you can reduce calorie intake by just drinking a Superboc Mini there. That was
each time. Yes. I made the joke with Sidonio. He because it was in English, he was like trying to work it out, and I said, and then another, and 30% every time, and then he's like, yeah, he got it.
Thank God. Right, T-Duck then, and the last dad jokes before the fireworks. There's always strength in numbers. There we go. Nicely done. Always buy beer. By the case.
Well, and I don't know if it was implied or meant to be, but lifting a case is going to be more difficult than just lifting a beer. So there will be more strength in it.
Yeah, just when Coach Turner thinks we've forgotten you saying that, he's going to announce that as a God Score tip of the day. Buy beer in bulk. You can always get strong lifting it up. Why does the word monosyllable have 5 syllables? Very good. And quick, I need some fables. Ace up. That's good, isn't it? That's learnable, teachable. That moment right there, fantastic.
If you want the proper Greek, you have to throw an E in between the A and S. But
stop it! It's a dad joke. Come on, you pedant.
More language knowledge. Dropping my knowledge. Here you go.
And this morning's pedantry award goes to all of the above names that he's.
And everyone's going, "Stop it, you idiot!"
James. Excellent work this morning. Very good fun this morning, talking about and learning about, I think, the Portuguese language. We have fireworks to finish after you've said something pithy and erudite to send us on our way for the week.
Pithy and erudite.
Yes.
After all this silliness today, it's kind of hard. Well, pithy could be there, but erudite, I think we'll just cross that one off. I think I ran out of pithy. I think my tank is empty. Got to refill.
Why don't you just be the 13-year-old you mentioned to before and just say poo-poo or something like that? I'm off to smoke a banana.
Oh, banana. Yeah. Well, I will leave with what I offer as a blessing. I think that I don't know if it's erudite, but it's a good note to end on, and that is, may you know love, joy, and peace always.
Oh, thank you. And that's a lovely climax to us laughing like two happy teenagers.
A couple of goofy guys.
A good way to start the day. And not possible without your contribution, Joao, and everybody else who has been here this morning, all giggling like teenagers. We should know better, but we don't. And we don't. What's more, we don't care. And another junta update. The closest junta, 2 kilometers away, was in the Coimbra district. They sent me to Ceia, 9 kilometers away, and Ceia in the Guarda district. And they looked at my postal code and sent me to Cara because they're like closer to my address. That's fantastic.
That's what you call the long way around.
It is. You got to meet so many new Portuguese friends.
But you got there in the end. That's what matters.
And you were lucky that they were open. I mean, São Junta de Freguesias are only open on Tuesday evening between 7 and 8. So well done, Suze.
They say it's not the destination, it's the journey, but I don't think that would apply here.
Well, I think that flipping
It is the destination. Just get me to the dang junta
yes.
that's close to me.
For sure. The journey is the destination for Suze being here in Portugal.
That's right.
Excellent work, James. Let's enjoy some fireworks now. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. And we've got the Wildflowers joining us. That brilliant track that we played a couple of weeks ago. The band are with us. I think they might be on a UK tour at the moment, and they'll be joining us tomorrow. Oh, yes, on the matter of music, there's a fantastic video that's just been, I think it's called 360-Degree Musicians Live. You've got Michael Bliss and Cheryl Bliss. And I'm sorry I couldn't get a better picture of them, but that's the best screenshot. They look really not very happy about name checking the video channels that they watch.
Yeah, they're working hard right there. They're working something out. You can see that now.
Yes.
What do you think about this? I don't know.
They are brilliant musicians themselves, and they talk to the brilliant Ron Rogers on their latest video on their channel, and they name check us too in their video, Good Morning Portugal, as one they listened to before they came here. So thank you, Michael and Sharon. Sorry I couldn't find a more cheerful picture of you both. They are brilliant musicians. Do check them out on YouTube, their channel. And actually on Learn About Portugal, I've done a link to their interview with Ron Rogers and some of their own music there. And now I can't find my frame to come back to. Where's it gone? We'll use this one. That'll have to do for now. There we go. With Carl Munson, special guest James on the screen. And now for a few fireworks. Have a great day, James. Have a great day, everybody. And we shall see you tomorrow morning. Ciao, ciao. Adios.
Obrigado. Ciao, ciao.